So everybody here is a freelancer. You all, everybody, are there agency freelancers or, you know, kind of have employees, or is everybody a solo business?
I'm a solo business.
You're a solo business. What do you do, Shelley?
I do association management and meeting planning. So
Nice.
it's not just, yeah, so I really work with specific groups, different associations that don't have the time to run their associations because they're running their own businesses. So they hire me to help plan their events and happy hours, write their newsletter, things like that.
Nice. Byron, what do you do?
Largely content creation, writing, publicity type work.
Nice. Patty?
I think it's I'm a result coach, so I
result
actually do, and I'm branching out, so I may have some people franchising my system.
Nice. I'm gonna butcher this name. Diorio.
Close. Diorio. Yeah.
Diorio.
Yeah.
What do you do?
So I'm new in the freelance game, but I do public relations, executive, internal comms, that sort of thing. So I've worked for some B2B and B2C companies in the past, but currently I'm out on my own helping clients as well.
Perfect. Alyssa?
Alyssa, yes. I do primarily content creation. I do copywriting and design.
Nice. Irina?
Hey there. I am also new to the freelance gig, although I've been an independent sales rep before, but mainly I'm helping small businesses with their sales and marketing so they can focus on creating their business.
Nice. Okay, we had somebody else on mute, but I don't see your name. The other iPhone. Or Cami. No, Cami. Sorry. Cami, introduce her. What do you do?
I am a transformational coach. I help freelancers launch. I help them get out of their own way so they can achieve the success they need. I am also a grizzled veteran of the graphic design world. I've got more than 30 years, or more than 25 years, almost 30 years experience. And also I'm a freelance exchange member. I'm local.
Nice. Nice to meet you.
Okay,
Nice to meet
not
you.
so modest, Cami. You are our past president. Active, and still active contributor.
I'm trying to keep it short, so thank you, Byron.
No worries. Cordelia. You're muted. Let's unmute you. There you are.
Okay. Hey, how are you guys? I am Cordelia. I am a designer and illustrator who runs a creative studio, Luna Creative, and I focus on working with organizations and businesses that are creating a positive change with a real focus on environmental issues, cultural issues like the arts, and social issues.
Nice. Welcome, Cordelia.
Cordelia,
How
where
about
are you?
Stacy?
Oh, I am in Wilmington, North Carolina. So I'm
Nice.
right on the
Nice.
coast, and about 10 minutes from the Atlantic Ocean.
That hurts.
All right.
Stacy or Laura?
Hi, I am just doing research.
Okay. No worries on that. No worries on that. And Laura,
And thank
are
you very
there?
much.
So what do you do, Laura, for freelancing?
Graphic designer.
Graphic designer. Okay. And are you,
Yep.
Where are you from?
Kansas City.
Kansas City. Nice.
Yep.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, Shelley, if you want to introduce, we'll get started.
Sounds great. Well, first, I'm Shelley Klein. I'm the Special Events Director for the Freelance Exchange. And this is my first event for them. We usually do this as an in-person event, but as everyone knows, in-person events are not happening. So this is our first foray into virtual workshops. So thank you all for signing up. Kimberly, I'd like to introduce her. Kimberly is a national speaker and an advocate for entrepreneurship and small business marketing. She considers it her mission to inspire and educate entrepreneurs to create results-oriented marketing tactics that will carry their business to the next level. In addition, she is an award-winning writer, a graphic designer, and a photographer, and she was also named an inspirational influencer by the International Association of Women in 2018 for her work empowering female entrepreneurs. So I will turn it over to Kimberly. Take it away.
Thank you. Well, welcome everyone. And I'm assuming everybody can see on my screen visual business planning. I want this to be an interactive workshop. So you should have gotten a couple of handouts from Shelley or from Freelance Exchange earlier today. And yep, yay, there's two things in there. There's a value proposition canvas and there's a business model canvas. And I'm going to cover both and how you can fill them out. So if you have them printed out and you want to fill them out as we're going or brainstorm on them, that's great. These documents for my clients become living documents. So they're tools that I use with my clients for our entire relationship, to help them be able to guide their marketing, to guide their business planning, to help them assess where they are, to write business plans for loans, the whole 9 yards. So these tools are great tools. I'm a big fan of creativity in business planning. I have written linear, very much structured business plans in my career for my own business and for clients. And frankly, they didn't like thrill me. So finding a tool like visual business planning was a big boon for me and for my business. Just a little bit about my background. Shelley read my bio, but to let you know, I do come from, as someone else thinks, says the grizzly world of graphic design. I started out doing website design and actually I started out doing print design back before there were computers. We had to lay things out with waxers. And I have the burn scars to prove that I have burn scars and X-Acto knife scars to prove that I can lay out magazines on paper and send them to a press. I'm much happier with the technology that's out now. I have been on my own in as either a freelancer or my own business owner, solopreneur for 24 years now, officially for 24 years. I've probably done it a whole lot longer than that. I just waved in some jobs from at different points in time. So I know what each of you faces as unique challenges when it comes to building your business and understanding how you want to structure things. And a lot of my work, just to explain the horse, a lot of my work is done in the equestrian industry. And I do a lot of almost all of my photography is done in the equine industry. And I live on a farm, and if you hear things that sound like they're being tortured outside my window, they all like to gather out here. I have a little flock of geese that adore to sit by the window when I'm doing a webinar and sing the song of their people. Okay, so today what we're going to do, I'm going to try to keep you guys, I have, just so you know how this is going to work, I can see all of you. So if you have a question or you want to comment, raise your actual hand and kind of leave it up until I acknowledge you. I'll try to keep an eye on everybody. You can also click on the participants and use the actual raise your hand thing too. And it'll put a little raised hand on your picture and it'll also cue me up here. So this is what I'm going to teach you today is not my invention. It is actually made by a Swiss business model guru whose name is Alexander Osterwalder. And he developed the business model canvas as a response to I think it was a college project. There's a whole story that goes with it, and you can read about that. I'm not going to get into it because we want to use the tool, not learn about it. And the business model canvas takes a look at the 9 building blocks that you have to have a successful business. And you can break those 9 building blocks down into 3 areas. Do they want it? Can you provide it? And is it going to support you? And as a freelancer, those are 3 very important questions that you need to ask yourself. Is my business, can I produce what I say? Do people want what I have to produce? And then how can I get this to financially support me? So those are very important pieces. Now, inside of the do they want it piece is, of course, the value that you bring to your clients. And that's the value proposition canvas. So there's 2 canvases. And canvases, we mean things that you are just going to paint you're going to slather your ideas all over them. So use it as a creative tool. Here, when we do these with our clients here at the ranch, we actually take sticky notes, and I have 2-foot by 3-foot canvases we hang up all over our cabin here. And I'll have a client brainstorm for 3 days about some of these topics. So we dive into it real deep. We have coaches on staff that'll help that person if they get to a sticky point that they can get past it. So that's how we kind of use this tool here. You can do the same thing for yourself. You can take that canvas, you can blow it up. If you need a bigger copy of the file, let me know. I have them up to 2-foot by 3-foot. So if this appeals to you, just keep that in mind. But the value proposition canvas, what it does is it helps you look at the value that you bring to your clients. And for those of you who are copywriters, you understand that when you do sales and marketing copy, it has to be written into a point that the consumer or the reader can engage with it on a level that brings value to their lives. Otherwise, they disregard it and move on. So the value proposition canvas is a way where you can brainstorm those those concepts to be able to communicate with your client, and then look at how you can offer things that solve the problems and create the gains for that particular client. All right. So if you want to know more about this particular method, there are 2 books that I recommend that you get. You can get them both on Amazon. One is called The Business Model Generation book. And you can get a copy of that on Amazon, or The Value Proposition Design. Both of them go into depth into what I'm going to cover today if you want to get further into that. Strategizer, spelled with a Y and a Z, is a company that provides training and tools in these techniques in how to use business model generation and value proposition design. So if you want to dig deeper into the whole process, you can utilize that. All right. I always start with the value proposition canvas because I believe that the relationships that we have with our customers are the most important pieces of our business. And I believe in order to sell, retain, and service our customers, we really have to understand our clients, and we have to be able to look at our target markets. So ideally, if you serve more than one group of people, you would do a value proposition canvas for each specific group. And the way this works is this is all about your customer and not about your business. The business model canvas is all about your business and just contains a piece of about your customer. And when you know your customer, you can structure your business better, and you can often communicate better because you're going to talk around their pain points. And unfortunately for us, and I'll repeat this a couple of times, pain points are often how we communicate in life and what causes us to want to create a change. And I have the spinning rainbow of death. There we are. Okay, so this is the canvas and what it looks like. And this is weird. You start on the right and move to the left. So on the right in the circle is about our customer. So our customer has things that they need to accomplish in a day. Those are their jobs. And I'm not interested in every job that they have. I don't, unless my job is a life coach to help them organize their home. I don't care if they make their bed in the morning. I want to know their jobs in context to what I do for them. So what is it that they're trying to accomplish? What problem am I solving for them? And what are they actually trying to do? For my clients are generally solopreneurs and small business owners, and they don't have a background in business. And so they're just simply trying to figure out how to run their business in addition to being able to keep up with working in their business. They're generally trying to navigate family commitments with that. They're generally trying to figure out who their target market is. They're trying to figure out, they're trying to serve their customers as much as they can. They're trying to be able to balance their budget. They're trying to reach new customers. So there's a whole bunch of things that they need to do in a day. Your customers have the same problems, right? There's a set of things that they need to accomplish in a day: make money at their business, be able to keep the doors open during a quarantine, communicate with their clients. So all of those are things that they need to do in a day. And the more specific that you can be about this, the better, as far as to what exactly it is that they're trying to accomplish. So if I look at my equestrian clients, they're trying to manage animals and a business. That can be a balancing act within itself. And if I speak to that to them, I've created a common ground. So this is all about, what are they trying to do? Now, there are reasons that they're trying to do this. So those are their gains. What is their ultimate desire in whatever it is in context to your business? So for my clients, things that are gains for them are freedom. That's a big word for entrepreneurs. Being able to be free in making our decisions, free to run our own businesses the way that we want, free to dictate when we can take time off and not. So freedom is a big word for my clients. Being financially wealthy, so having money or having a wealthy lifestyle, is also really important, because when you work for someone else, a lot of times you cap your income. So a lot of people want to become entrepreneurs because they feel that they can find financial freedom from that. So our financial upraising, as we all know, that is a little harder trick to pull out of your hat than it would appear, but it is part of the process, right? So what is it that your customer is trying to gain? What is their ultimate desire? Okay, now we get into the point where we can really start the conversation with them, and that is what is getting in the way of that. So what is either getting in the way of accomplishing the job or getting in the way of becoming where they want to go, their ultimate desire? And again, I consult with people on business planning and marketing and those kind of things. And in typical for my clients, it's overwhelm. They're overwhelmed. They don't know what to do next. What step do I take? What direction do I walk in? What thing do I do first in order to get accomplished my gains and be able to get through my day? So I want to look really carefully at that. And if overwhelm is a big problem and it's a pain process, then if I move to the left and I look at the pain relievers, what does my business do to provide a answer to that pain point? And in my case, what I want to do is give people step-by-step instruction. So the words step-by-step come from my clients. They say those actual words. And I encourage you to do a customer interview, to ask your customers, what are they trying to get accomplished in a day? What gets in their way? And what is their ultimate why for why they're doing it? And it's enlightening to ask those questions and then deconstruct the answers that you get onto one of these canvases. It's incredibly empowering for you as a business owner to be able to see where your clients are getting actually stuck. And I'll tell you, I do this exercise with people pretty frequently, and I don't think I've found an entrepreneur yet that did that interviewed their customers and deconstructed this, that didn't find enlightenment from it, that didn't find something that they didn't quite realize was a huge pain point for their target market. So just to finish explaining this, and then I'd like to talk to you guys a little bit about what you think for your specific audience, what the answers to some of these things would look like. But in the gains area, how do you create the gains? So how do you provide freedom? Well, I help you with a step-by-step process so that you know exactly what needs to be done so you can attain freedom from concern and worry. And then my products and services would be what I offer to do that. So that would be consulting. Also, I have things where I help people with projects. And then we have 3-day events here where people can come to our ranch and spend 3 days diving into business model canvassing. So talk to me, anyone who would like to volunteer. What are your customers actually trying to accomplish in their lives that you, in context to your business?
I'm sorry, I didn't have anything. I'm sorry. I was looking
Oh, okay. You unmuted, so I thought you might. Okay.
Yeah, being prepared.
Yep. So we have our graphic designers, right? Who's graphic design? Cordelia and Kim and Laura. Okay. So your clients usually don't feel they're trying to maybe brand their business, but their pain point is that they don't feel creative, or they don't have the skills to be able to do it, right?
That's a very good point, because that's a frequent pain point that I hear, is that there is that gap. It's either a skills gap or knowledge gap, or just some sort of gap where they're like, I can't do this myself.
Yep. And so the pain point is they get frustrated because they have a vision. So their gain is that they have this vision of how they want their branding to look. Mm-hmm. They have this mind of how they want to construct, or at least a simple direction that they want to go. They just don't know how to get there. And a pain point for them is incredibly frustrating, because maybe their brand is not what's represented to the world, is not what they want. It doesn't match, or it's not cohesive. And they know that if it was cohesive, their gain point would be that they have a consistent message that attracts the perfect customer, right?
Right.
So just in their day-to-day life, some of the things they need graphic design for: to make a post on Facebook, right? Or to be able to design something for their website, or have something for their website, or to get business cards printed, or to do a brochure. I mean, there's just so many things that they're trying to do that relate to graphic design. So any other thoughts around that for my designers? Yes, Cami.
So a lot of times my first go-to is, for example, I'll give you an example. Year before last, the client came to me and said, I need a trifold brochure. My first question was, why? Mm-hmm. What is it that you need this trifold brochure to do? And getting into a deeper conversation, it turns out they needed people who are already familiar with them to get off the fence and buy the product. And the answer to that pain point was not a trifold brochure, but something else entirely. So asking the deeper questions is crucial. I agree with you.
So, and here's something fun for you guys who are working with businesses. Okay, you do this for your own business, but this is also a tool for you to help your clients get out what it is that they need. So when you look at it you hand it to them as a tool that they can fill out, and then you, from helping them with their branding for the graphic designers, or copywriting for the copywriters, or for those of you who are multi-talented and do multi-operations, you can kind of see where you need to direct their marketing material. So it's it's an important aspect, not only for your own business, but to have conversations around with your clients so that you can in a more engaged manner, help them figure out the answers, Cammie, to exactly what you said. Do you need a trifold brochure, or do you need something different? How are you going to reach those customers, and what are you going to say to them when you get their attention, or what are you going to use to get their attention? So doing this canvas makes a big impact, and it's not something that you do in 5 minutes. It's something that is a project that takes over time. I mean, you're going to do it for a while. And although you may know what your products and services are, being able to look at it from the angle of what solutions do I provide, and what problems do I solve, and what gains do I create, gives you a different marketing conversation to have with clients. One that's much more about them and not you, and much more focused on something that gives them clear parameters around what they can get behind. Do I have any questions about the different areas of this canvas? Anybody have any questions about that? Yes, Cordelia.
I just had a question not in terms of the areas of the canvas, but in terms of process. Do you, when working directly not with necessarily coaching business, not necessarily coaching entrepreneurs like us, but when you're coaching we're not doing coaching, but when you're working directly with clients to provide services or products, do you give this to them directly to have them fill it out, or do you walk them through it in other ways, through conversation, through written questionnaire, things like that? Like, I was just wondering how you use it when working directly with your...
Sure. I use all of the above because it depends on the customer, right? Okay. So I am a big believer in typology. So I look at, my customers' preferences for how that they want to work. Some people don't do well with visual business planning. They like the linear plan better. And every one of these things can be deconstructed into a questionnaire. Other people are not good at doing their homework. So those are the ones that we book a meeting and we sit down and go over it. And I propose things to go on it. And then we look at it from there. Most of my clients, I have a video that explains basically what I'm explaining to you today in this workshop. And I send them the video and the business model the value proposition canvas, and ask them to fill it out and do the best that they can. And then I ask them to do it once on their own. Then we do some interview questions with their clients, which I try to get them to do. I don't like doing those. I prefer for them to do them. And then we deconstruct those onto the canvas so that we can see what their clients say versus what they thought their clients would say, or their prospective clients would say. And it becomes a real exercise for them in order to be able to figure out what they want to say on their website. What is their call to action? What are the points that they're gonna put in bullet points that'll get people's attention? And it's truly enlightening to most people what they come up with for those things.
No, that's amazing. I really appreciate it, because trying to understand your services or the value you provide from your customers, I feel like I've identified that as a missing piece in my studio, and trying to bridge that gap.
Yep. So, and one thing I do want to mention about both of these tools with Value Proposition Canvas and Business Model Canvas, the Value Proposition Canvas, not so much. It's not under Creative Commons, but the Business Model Canvas is a Creative Commons property. So you can get in and modify it. This canvas, they keep the words the same. So they're trying to keep the circle and the square and some basic pieces to it. But the other canvas is a Creative Commons where you can get in there and modify it. When we get to that one, you might look to see also if there's some things that you could appropriate from that in your discussion with your clients to be able to figure out some of the answers to those questions that you need to better construct what you need to do for them. I feel like until I found this tool, I was flying blind for most of my clients. So it's been definitely handy for me to be able to hone stuff for them. And it doesn't work for just new businesses. You can take an existing business that's been around for 10 or 20 years and have them run through these tools, and they will get something out of it. I've done it numerous times in my own business, and every single time it levels up. So let's talk a little bit about, I have a sample here for a business coach. So if we look at what a business client is looking for, their jobs would be to have a successful business. Their jobs are trying to elevate their business to the next level. They need to make more money. They need to reach more customers. They need to build a consistent brand experience, and they need to keep their customers happy. Those are some things that a business coaching client would be looking for in the customer jobs or that they're trying to create. In their gain area, which is the area that's probably the most important for us from the perspective of using this with a client, but probably the least important when it comes to creating marketing and advertising, because the marketing and advertising piece of this, gains don't work as well as pains. And I think all of us probably have experienced that. You can pull on a pain point in marketing much easier than you can pull on a gain point. But a successful business, money in their bank account, a growing customer base, a wow experience, happy customers, those would be some samples of some gains for a business coaching client. And then pain points, they feel stuck in their business. Feeling stuck is often a thing. They're broke. So that's another pain point. They feel like they're failed by their advertising. So if for those of us that are in marketing directly, I have a lot of clients who look at it and say, I don't feel like my advertising is working. And some of them want to point fingers back to the design or to, one thing or another. And oftentimes it's because they're not getting out and following up or doing any networking after. So we need to look at why that pain point is there sometimes as well. Their ideas keep shifting around. They lose track of follow-up with current customers. That tends to be a problem. So those are places where when you understand that from your perspective, you can create products and services that go along with it. For example, the last one in my business, what I did was I became an affiliate for a CRM program. So now I sell CRM that solves a problem for my customers, helps them create a better gain, and I get a kickback off of that. So it helps me be able to support them better. So it helps you look for opportunities as well as being able to help communicate better. When we do this canvas, this is what one of the canvases looked like from a client. This happens to be a coaching client who is looking to work with doctors and first responders. So we were looking at where those people were having problems, what were they trying to accomplish in a day, and then also what pains were they running into and what gains were they looking for, and then the things in her business that created gains and took away the pains, and then some things that we could put decidedly around products and services. So the business model canvas, and there's a picture of one back here. I kind of like the pretty, so I put a picture behind it. There's 9 building blocks to this. And these are very similar building blocks as to what you would find on a business plan. Has anybody here ever written a business plan? Yeah, so business plans are awesome. I attribute the first business I had, which was a printing company. I went bankrupt, and I swear it's because I didn't have a good business plan. It's also because I was in my 20s and didn't know what I was doing, but we'll leave that aside. I feel like if I'd have had a good plan, I would have maybe made it out of that without having to talk to a bankruptcy judge. But the 9 building blocks help us better understand what we need to even write a business plan. So we need to understand who we're serving, Do they really want what we have to sell? How are we going to provide that? What kind of structures are we going to put into place? And then how are we going to get that to make money? And what is it going to cost us in order to be able to do it? So the business model canvas looks like this. And the blue area is all about your customers. So this is the area where we're going to talk about your customer segments. Who are your customers? Do people really want it? What are you bringing as far as values? So what you put into that value proposition canvas, you're going to transcribe from that how you provide value. So those pain relievers and gain creators that you put into the business model or to the value proposition canvas, those come across in this center section here, which I think is very appropriate because this intersection is where everything is cohesed together. And that's around what value you bring to your clients. Then, so everything in the blue section is, do people want it? Everything in the pink section is, what's it going to take for you to create it? And then everything in the green section is about money. What is coming in, and we can talk about energy too. I feel like you guys, a lot of you are artists. Even those of you who do coaching, that is an art. And sometimes we get benefits out of that are not with dollar signs in front of them. I know for me, it's the lifestyle I get to live. I get to travel. I get to do interesting things with business owners that pay me back in ways that don't have dollar signs. So basically the final question is it worth it? And we also want to look at our sanity check there to make sure that we're going to get enough out to make sure that we're getting paid either in financial reward or in energy reward for what we put into this business. So let's start. We're going to start with the do people want it, because it's where we ended off in the last one. So in the customer segment area, what you're going to put here is, who are your customers? Who are you serving? So for me, if I'm broad about it, it's small businesses under 10 employees. But reality-wise, it's generally solopreneurs and people who want to break out of a corporate world. And a lot of times those people have animals or involved in agriculture. So I can get really deep in this area and I can start broad and get very, very specific. So who are your customers? And not every person who's out there is your customer, right? Not every person who needs graphic design is perfect for Cami or is perfect for Cordelia. There's shades in there, right? There's people that are your absolute ideal customer, and then there's people that you could do graphic design for, but they wouldn't be your ideal customer. So we want to look at who are the segments, who are these people, what do they have in common, and how can we set up so that we talk to those individuals. Sometimes our customer segments will have two pieces, one that we market to and one that we serve. So I'm going to give you an example of that. I have coaches that I work for that work with teenagers. Teenagers do not hire them. The parents of the teenagers hire them. So their customer segment, they have to appeal to the teen once the teen arrives in their coaching program, but they have to market to the parent because the parent is actually buying the coaching program. So customer segments, who is it that you are serving? Who are your customers? Then what type of relationships do you have with those customers? So how do you interact with each of those segments? So for example, in that coach who works with teens, they work with the teenager, but they market to and serve and get paid by the parents. So some of you may work within a business, you may freelance within a larger corporation. So you may serve corporate clients, but your customer relationship is with the project manager that assigns you the freelance work. So what are those relationships in your specific business model? If there's more than one, write down different relationships. Then your value propositions. What values do you bring? And remember, I told you should fill out one of those value prop canvases for every segment of market that you start. For every target market you're after, you do a different value proposition canvas. So for each of those, you're going to write down how you provide value to that specific segment. So you have a couple of niches in there that you're going to get into. And then finally, the channels. For each of those customers, how are you going to reach them? So if you are wanting to freelance within corporate environments, so bigger corporations, then how do you get in the door with them? Where do you even start to peel back those layers to get into that group? Do you reach them through networking? Do you reach them through social media? How do you communicate with them? And then once they become a customer, how do you stay in contact with them? So how are you going to deliver that value to them and tell them about it and reach them with it? So this segment is all about, do people want it? The next one we're going to move on to is a little bit more pragmatic, and that is it feasible? So do you have the capability to be able to provide what you want to provide? So who's in business with you? These can be people who refer people to you. Hey, guess what? Freelance Exchange is in business with you. You pay for a membership with Freelance Exchange, and then Freelance Exchange has a profile there. That's a business partner or a business resource. So who is in business with you? Do you have somebody who could refer you people from a coaching perspective? I always tell my coaches to go find centers of influence. That's the most important piece in that. So you find whoever's serving the people that you serve and has influence over them. So let's say you are working with people who are in recovery from addiction, for example. Then you would find, if you're working with them after they're recovered, you would find rehabs that you maybe could partner with to see if they would refer clients to you. You figure out a kind of give relationship with them so that you can keep your client funnel full based off of their referrals. So you're looking for influence in whatever target market you're after. So the key partners area is where you identify those things in your own business or in a client's business. You start to identify who is in business with you, who's helping you, who's a partnership. Then resources. So Freelance Exchange would be a resource. What does the infrastructure inside your business look like as well? So where do you, what are the walls and the things that are holding up your business? So suppliers go here. If you are a printer, if you broker out like 4-color printing, your print house would go in this. If you do print design, would go into this slot. People who supply you with final products. If you do the design work, but then you have a developer build the websites for website design, then the developer would be a resource. They're not bringing you in money like a partner, but they're providing you with something. And then key activities. What is it that you need to be able to perform or do well? So you need to be able to execute your design, or you need to be able to write, you need to be able to deliver those things to people. So those are the things that you would want to write down in this area. So what activities are necessary to deliver the value to your clients? All right, let me stop here and see if there's any questions about this. Anybody have any questions about the two pieces about do they want it and is it feasible? Okay, if you do come back around to it, I'll open up questions. I'm going to save us about 10 minutes here at the end to talk about that. All right, the final piece of the value, our business model canvas is the piece that none of us really like to talk about, and that is it worth it? Cost structure and revenue streams. So in the cost area, you have to put down how much your business costs you. And I think one of the biggest struggles that people have when they become a solopreneur, when they get into entrepreneurism from a perspective of starting a business, is that if they come from an hourly wage job, understanding how much you have to charge over and above what that hourly wage job was to be able to support your business and yourself is a huge jump for a lot of people. They don't pay themselves well enough because they don't look at what it really costs for them to run the business. I know my very first business partner in this business that I have now, she's no longer involved. She came from a very corporate world. And when she arrived, she asked me, she said, I need to go to the office store. What's the information for the charge account? And I'm like, it's your credit card. The office supply store, and it's just like, where's the office supply cabinet? There isn't one. So what is it that what are the costs that go out? And you need to think a lot about the financial costs of what it costs for you to do business, because you have to be able to compensate for that in the revenue streams. I also encourage people, especially those of us in the artistic areas of business, to also look at the cost of what being a business owner tolls on us, as well as the cost of not being a business owner tolls on us. So for me, one of the biggest costs that would happen if I didn't have my business is I would be stuck in a cubicle. I hated that. I absolutely hated the corporate cubicle world. And so it may cost me a lot to stay in the business that I'm in some instances with money, but I would far rather be here because the cost of not doing it is greater than the cost of doing it. So, and then, kind of expense out what is it that drains your energy about your business, and what is it, then again, we're going to look at the revenue streams. What is it that pays you back? So for me, it's being able to look out this window over here and see my horses, and to be able to spend all day here, and for COVID-19 to not really disrupt my work pattern all that much. So the revenue streams are great. What is it that brings you in money? What are the products and services that you have that bring you in money? Do you have anything that's passive income that you could sell? So something that you could do in advance and then provide to your clients, like being able to do a little online course that teaches them something that would make them a better client, and you charge a little bit of money for it. You do it one time and then you get income back. So when you look at your clients, your business's value proposition canvas, what could you add in there that solves a pain or creates a gain that you could charge some money for? Is there a way for you to get regular recurring income? That is a big struggle for solopreneurs and small businesses. My solution to that in my own business, which has been hugely beneficial, was to start putting customers that routinely stayed with me long-term on a contract that went year by year, and they paid month by month so that I could pay my bills. So I have to look at those income streams. How do I make money in my business? And then the underlying question to that is, how can I make that income consistent so that I can pay my car payment when it's due, I can pay my light bill when it's due. So just list all of the revenue streams and all the costs. And again, also beyond money. So you can go beyond money here. This is what a canvas looks like when this is the same gal's canvas that we did the value proposition for. This is what we came out to with the final canvas, and we have a little stand that we stick it up on in the trailer and show people, they can sleep on it for a couple of days. I like it when people come here because this is a project for a few days, and I send it home with them, and most of them will send me pictures even weeks or months later. I have one person that was out here last fall, and I see her on a pretty regular basis on Zoom, and it's right behind her every single day when she's working. It's in her office, and she's able to move those sticky notes around, which makes it really nice. So there may be lots of costs, but there's also lots of revenue streams in this one. So I hope that makes everybody feel better. I have one more slide to show you, and then I want to try to talk about some questions, and I'll pull back to the business model canvas slide. One of the things that this business model canvas is so good at is for creative people to brainstorm out and use it like an art project, and then take that information and write a business plan with it. So inside of the business model canvas and the answers that you provide, you are going to find answers to the things that make up a business plan. So in your structure area, you're going to be able to look at your executive summary. In there, in the pains and gains area, you're going to be able to figure out a mission statement. You are going to be able to figure out product descriptions. You're going to be able to look at how you would maybe want to market. You can fill out value proposition canvases and business model canvases for your competitors to kind of see how they're doing business. So deconstruct the things that you know about them onto these canvases so that you can get a good competitive analysis. Your SWOT analysis, which is opportunities. Oh gosh, I can never remember the acronym for that, but basically it means is where you have weaknesses, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and can't remember the T, but so it gives you an opportunity to see those things, right? Opportunity in particular. So you can see where your business is strong. You can see where it has weaknesses. You can determine your operations and your financial planning, or at least the basics of it. I'm always a big advocate for hiring an accountant for that piece. And so you can fill in a lot of the pieces around your business plan just by doing this exercise. And then in addition to that, you come up with so much marketing information about your own business by taking a little time to do some studying on this. So you can come up with blog content, website content, nurture series. Every person who comes to me for email marketing nurture series, I send them with those value proposition canvases because they write themselves off of that, right? Sales conversations, expo stuff, elevator speeches, branding, customer testimonials. If you do the interviews and deconstruct them, you come up with testimonials. So there's a lot of value packed into your business for doing the two exercises with the value proposition canvas and the business model canvas. All right, I'm going to pop back to that. There it is, so that we have it up on the screen. And we have 10 minutes, and I would love for you guys to provide feedback, ask questions, get information about your own businesses to be able to understand how to utilize this better.
Good question.
Sure.
So as we look at the 9 steps and everything else, which this has been great. So I appreciate your time and teaching this information to us this afternoon. What is kind of, I guess, would you say just follow the 9 steps in order as kind of the first step in engaging? So you're talking to the customer and say, okay, well, let's first start off, what are your strengths? What are you good at? And we kind of dovetail from there. Or should you just say, obviously, the reason we're engaging now is because you have a pain point. So let's address those pain points. And then you kind of structure what I would call maybe the customer model around what those pain points are. Is there a certain maybe order that you'd recommend, or do you start with the pain and then work your way from there?
I start with the pain points and work my way out, because that's what's at the customer's top of their mind, right? We don't usually, we say we want to seek gains, but pains create action. So that's where I generally start out, because it's the first place we end up having a conversation. That's people are looking for solutions, and that tends to be it. And then you can open up the conversation about the gain points. As far as where to start on either of these canvases, I think in a shotgun pattern. So I just get a pile of sticky notes out and just go, oh, I explain it to the client. And then we just start sticking sticky notes all over everything, because one thing will lead to another. When you start talking about customer segments, then all of a sudden a conversation about what that customer values comes up. When you start talking about the values and the channels, then the relationships come up. And then it's like, okay, how do we serve these people? So there's our partners, or here's some people that I have that I could be in partnership with. Or if we have this as a channel, it's going to be a cost. So it all sort of dovetails off of everything else. So that's one of the reasons I like the business model canvas, is it because it doesn't ask me to do things in a linear fashion, which works really well for me. I'm not saying it works well for everybody. And I have also seen this tool deconstructed down into a questionnaire. I do a lot of work with SCORE, and some of the people in SCORE are very used to linear business plans, and they find these questions intriguing and absolutely perfect when they're working as a SCORE mentor. But a lot of times what they do is they'll break it apart and put it into a questionnaire. And I'm an advocate for whatever works for you, as long as you're delving into these topics and starting to pick them up and look at them, then I think you're 10 steps ahead in your business.
Okay.
Does that help?
It does. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Anybody else have any comments or questions or anything that they'd like to add?
Can you repeat the names of the books you referenced earlier, please?
Sure. Let me pop back to that in the slide deck. If I can get past that evil slide. Hold on. Let me just fly past it. The problematic slide. There we are. So business model generation and value proposition design.
All right, thank you.
And you can just go on Amazon. They're easy to find on Amazon. And if you wanted like full out training in this method, Strategizer offers it. And you can get full on training in using business models and value proposition. It's really rather simple when you stop to think about it, but it is something that expands to take up as much effort as somebody wants to put in it. I've seen people do, hour-long exercise in it, but I can tell you that I have some clients that I've been working this through for 2+ years now, and we still are adding to it, moving things around, and just use it as a living tool that moves and expands with their business. It's not static like a regular traditional business plan would be, which is something I dearly love. Because one thing I know about coaching businesses and solopreneurs is that they morph. So you start in one place and you morph into other places, and this moves with you as you're doing that. Okay, I really appreciate your guys' attention today. I know that business planning is sometimes a rather dry subject. It's not always the most exciting thing on the planet, but I hope you got some good use out of this. I did not take the look at the questions.
Somebody was asking if you would re-show the slide.
Oh, the 9 items. Okay, no worries. The business model, the handout that Shelley sent you, there's the 9 things. The handout she sent you is just the 9 things. There's the 9 boxes on that handout. That's what the list is the 9 items. So no worries. No worries on that. Yep, and screenshot away. I'm happy to provide as much information as I can about this, because I think these tools are great, not only for you in your business, and please don't discount that. All of us have businesses to build, but also for us to use with our clients, because it helps them get clearer. And when they're clearer, they're able to communicate better with us. We do a better job and everybody is happier. So then they think that you're gods and goddesses when you use this with them, because then all of the sudden you've enlightened them about their business. And it's so much fun to see a business owner get clarity with one of these tools, because it really helps them. All right. Well, Shelley, I think we're at our time.
We are.
Again,
Thank you so much. This was fantastic. So much great information here.
good
And
deal.
I just appreciate you giving your time to us today.
Oh, no worries. More than happy to. And I'm going to turn the host activities back over to you.
Great.
So now you have it.
Thank
and
you. I appreciate it.
I appreciate everyone who came today and who was who tuned in and stayed with us.
Yeah.
So thank you. Thank you, Stacy.
Thanks,
All right. You guys have a great day. Bye.
Thank you, Kimberly. Thank you, everybody. Thanks again. We'll see you hopefully at the next session. Have a great afternoon. Thanks, Kimberly.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.